We're out here today photographing this beautiful Oregon waterfall, and we want to be able to capture in the photograph the vision that we have for the scene in our mind. That's the whole point of understanding the manual mode of the camera, to be able to have absolute creative control over the images that we take. In this case today, we're going to talk about using various shutter speeds, using alternate f-stop and shutter speed combinations to create exactly the image that we want to record.
We start out by exposing for the brightest area of the scene where we want detail, the water, and set our exposure for +2 on the scale. This gives us a starting exposure of 1/6 of a second at f4. But let's use a slower shutter speed so we can capture more of the feeling of flow of the water. Notice how the histogram shifts to the right as we slow the shutter down. Once we have our shutter speed selected, we have to compensate for the change in exposure by adjusting our f-stop. We adjust our f-stop until the histogram indicates we are getting a good exposure across all the tones in the scene. Okay, after final adjustments to our f-stop and shutter speed, our histogram looks good. If we did not see the end of the curve, we would know it was overexposed, like this here. But our exposure is good because we can see the whole range of tones in the image represented in the histogram. Now for a custom white balance, and we'll take our final image. Notice the nice soft flowing effect we got to the water when we switched to the slower shutter speed. Here's a few more examples of creativity using a slower shutter speed. For this night shot, we decided we wanted a long exposure to catch the streaks of light as the cars went through town, so we chose a shutter speed of 6 seconds. And then exposed for the scene as we normally would, and adjusted our aperture until the light meter indicated a correct exposure. When I happened upon these ducks playing in the water, I decided to go the opposite direction and stop the action by using a fast shutter speed. So I set my shutter speed first for 1/2000th of a second, and then exposed off the highlight of the wings and set my exposure indicator scale at +2 by adjusting my f-stop.